to Nairi Smiles. Hello. It is the end of October, which means it's wrap-up time. Hey everybody, today I have my October wrap-up, and it is small. This month I have read so much, just not entirely books. I'm in a fracturing fairy tales class in college, and it is my favorite class of all times. We basically get to read and analyze tens of different types of fairy tales, all the way back from the original fairy tale, which a lot of the original fairy tales were really dark, all the way to like modern versions of fairy tales. So I have read a lot this month, but as far as book-wise or like novels go, I have read 3 books, which I'm going to talk about right now. So yeah, first book I read, completely finished this month. I actually finished earlier this month because I was reading it in September, which kind of carried over to October a little bit. Transistor Radio. I actually left this book in my dorm, so I do not have a physical book with me because I'm at my house right now, but this is a book that I actually had to read for school, and I ended up really enjoying it. But I will say though that I felt like it was too much of a fiction book to be used in an academic setting, so that's my only critique of it. But this book here follows Dana. She is a transgendered woman, male to female, and this book follows her journey. She's a college professor, and she falls in love as a man with this woman named Allison, who has a daughter named Carly. When she falls in love, she is still physically a male and dressing as a male. Allison doesn't know that Dana is actually a woman, and so this is kind of her story through transitioning and through just like rediscovering herself, and also it's told from multiple perspectives. So you get to see Allison's point of view, her daughter Carly's point of view, Allison's ex-husband Will, who is an asshole, who I still do not like. The ending was so surprising for me with this book, but anyways, it's a wonderful book if you're looking for something that is diverse and different. I definitely recommend it. As far as this book goes, I will say it is not an own voice novel, which I originally thought it was, written by someone who was transgendered, but it's not. It's written by a straight white male who watches Bo Burnham. I love Bo Burnham. Yeah, so just a warning about that. But overall, I would give this book like 5.5 stars out of 10. It was pretty good, but again, like the ending kind of like made me deduct some points because it just became really unrealistic towards the end. But anyways, yes, that was that book. Alright, the next book that I read this month that was so fantastic, you guys. Literally, this is on my top, this book is going to be on my top list of my favorite books of 2017. It is so good. It 100% lived up to the hype, you guys. Like, it lived beyond the hype. I cried when I started reading the book. Like, certain parts were just so intense, and it's just like, ah! The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. You guys, this book, I have never related to a book so much. Like, literally, like, reading this book, it just like every single sentence I was like, I know exactly what that feels like, and it's just so like, that's why I say I cried during this book a few times, because it was just so, I felt like someone had finally written a book just based off the experiences in my personal life. That's how much I was able to relate to it on a personal level. Fantastic book, 10 out of 10. If you guys don't know what this book is about, it's kind of been all over BookTube already, but basically it follows our main character, Star. She is an African-American girl going to an all-white private school, and she comes from a poor neighborhood. Star witnesses her best friend being shot by a cop while unarmed, and it just follows her story on trying to deal with this and cope with what just happened and finding her own voice, and you know, being able to say this was wrong, you know. But anyways, it's just, there's so many reasons why people should read this book, but the main one is it just opens the door for that conversation of just things that you don't know to be problems that are actually problems, language you use, and just like subtle racism and things like that, and just, it's so amazing. Read it. The last book that I read this month, which blew my mind, you guys, literally blew my mind, was War Cross by Marie Lu. Marie Lu is on my list of top 10 favorite authors now. Literally, I read Legend and I didn't finish the series because I really didn't like it. And so I went into this book being a little wary because I wasn't a huge fan of Marie Lu, but she totally changed my opinion of her after this book. It is so fantastic. This book reminds me of why I fell in love with reading, and specifically why I fell in love with dystopian sci-fi YA sort of books, okay? This book takes place in the future, and in this world, okay, hold on, real quick though, I will say, even though I guess you could classify this as dystopian, it's so realistic to to something that could actually happen in the real world that it doesn't feel that far-fetched, and it makes the whole experience of reading it a million times better because you're like, this could actually happen, holy crap. In this world, VR or virtual reality is like a huge part of life. Everyone has VR glasses. It comes to the point where virtual reality is laid over actual reality, and so like it's just an integral part of. There is this very young guy, I think he's like 20 in this book, who at the age of 15 created this virtual reality and it just exploded. He created this game called Warcross, which makes you feel like you're actually in that world but not actually in that world, and it became the #1 most popular VR game, and then he just continued to develop that technology. Now it's just in everyday life. It's insane. So this follows Amika Chen. She is a 18-year-old girl. I was gonna say 17, but she's 18 in this book, and she accidentally glitches herself into one of the most popular Warcross games, like the professional Warcross games that's televised all over the world, and ends up becoming a player in this game. So it is so incredible. The ending was like a total cliffhanger for me. Like, okay, I knew what was gonna happen, but it was still surprising when it happened because like just the way it ended was a totally perfect setup for the second book, and I cannot wait for the second book to come out, which I just found out there is gonna be a second book. I was terrified that this would be a standalone. But it's not. We're getting more books. Anyways, fantastic book. If you want something that's extremely fast-paced, easy to read, wonderful, diverse characters, multiple languages, like just get this book. And if you're also a fan of like gaming books, you'll absolutely love this book too. So anyways, that is everything I read this month, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep reading, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!